Good morning, everyone. November 5th, 2023. Yesterday marked the anniversary of the first locomotive that went down to Chrisfield. As a result, created a boom town, which I call, based on what I call the Oyster Bonanza. And what this does is this gave the northern markets direct access to the Tanger Sound, which the little Amessic was very short. They could get right out, come in, and it created a boomtown. But what it also created was a lot of deaths, drownings. Now back today, when it blows, watermen stay in, and understandably so. But back then, they wanted it to blow, so they could push the sail. They could push the dredges. Now these pungies and these bug-eyes, skipjacks, I mean, it took a lot to pull these dredges, and so they wanted it to blow. But when it blew, we also lost men. That was a standard, typical thing going along with the job. But what doesn't get a lot of attention in the maritime history are the women, the mothers, the wives, and the daughters of these guys who were lost. So I try to give attention to them. And a few years ago, I wrote a poem. It's called "The Sea Shared His Love with Me." It's based loosely on a one particular woman. Her name was Effie Nelson Wallace. She was the daughter of Captain Azariah Nelson. He was lost 1871, I believe, in October 1871, and she was 5, maybe 7 years old. When she was 18, she married a guy named John Wallace, who drowned oystering 3 months later. Now these women would get together and have quilting parties. They would all get together and work on a quilt, and they would pray. And when the wind blew, it just had to terrify them. So this poem is based loosely upon her, but about every wife that who had a mother, father, husband, or son working the water. And I'll just read it, and hopefully you guys can follow along. Okay. It's called "The Sea Shared His Love with Me." He told me last season was going to be his last, and my heart filled with joy that he escaped her wrath. Though I knew she still called him, and this she is the sea. I'm jealous that he still needs her. I want him here with me. Leaves will soon be falling, wind is turning cold. He avoids conversation to why his boat is not yet sold. He talks with the children, telling them things they should never forget. This happens every year, always followed by words I hope not to regret. I'm only going with your blessing, I know he's going to say. He already knows my answer. Damn that Chesapeake Bay. He shouts to our boys, go tell my mate to be here tomorrow, as I fight back the tears and signs of my sorrow. He gleefully struts like a rooster as the boat is prepped by the crew. I watch from the window, knowing other wives and mothers are crying too. Our oyster boat captain's going three-piece suits, and I never understood why. The only reason I can see is they want to look good if they die. Us ladies pass the time, often gathering to make a quilt, wondering since we let them go, do we share in the guilt? Shutters slam and the wind blows ashes from the hearth. We pray they've made it back to port or are not still far off. The same as when she took my daddy. I saw them coming up the lane. I knew she took my husband too. I collapsed crying in pain. Many years have passed. Grandchildren he never did meet. I tell them stories about their papa as they gather around my feet. I always say he was raised barefooted. He couldn't read or write, but he was taught to follow the water and could name every star at night. A Chesapeake Bay waterman is what he was and will always be. The only regret I will always have as the sea shared his love with me. Thank you for watching.